Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Message of Islam exhibition in the Czech Prague showcases the Sultanate's experience in spreading peace values among nations and respect of cultural diversity. Future of energy and its efficiency are discussed in a dialogue session about the best use of sustainable energy in the Sultanate. And Yemeni forces continue its advance in Hodeidah, and the UN discusses holding peace talks between Yemeni parties before year end. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Activities of the Message of Islam exhibition started in Czech Prague. The event was organized by the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs. It aimed to spread and enhance the values and principles of peace and understanding among nations and cultures and the respect of human rights. It is part of the Sultanate's efforts to stress the common values and renounce extremism. The event was organized at Czech Foreign Ministry building in the capital. It included some of artworks that shed light on some aspects of the Sultanate's experience in the field of dialogue and tolerance. The future of energy efficiency in Oman, sustainable houses, efficiency of electric devices were discussed by a number of public and private concerned bodies in the session of energy efficiency. The session was organized by Nama Group within enhancing sustainable energy in the Sultanate. The session resulted in a number of ideas and projects on the best way to reach energy efficiency in the Sultanate. The session focused in necessity of rationalizing energy and included national laws and legislations of participant institutions in adding to highlight their role in achieving electricity efficiency in the coming stage. A celebration was organized by the College of Technology in Salalah for the graduation of a new batch of students in the fields of engineering, information technology, and commercial studies. The ceremony came after years of tireless efforts in studying and searching for knowledge and skills. The graduates expressed their happiness for passing this stage in their life and their readiness to enter the labor market to serve the beloved country and its people. The Directorate General of Education in the Governorate of the Far organized an honoring ceremony for students who excelled in the Knowledge Development Program for the school year 2017 to 2018. Some 92 male and female students were honored in addition to some supervisors and teachers. The Directorate General of Education in the Far achieved the first place at the level of the Sultanate in the field of mathematics, the second place in the field of innovations, and the fourth place in the field of robotics. Knowledge development is a comprehensive program to develop the capabilities of students in various schools in the Sultanate. The Directorate General of Education in the Governorate of Worcester organized a ceremony to honor more than 85 male and female students in various phases. The event was funded by Occidental Oman Company. It came to encourage students to continue their efforts in their studying. Some parents were also honored during the ceremony. The celebration included an exhibition organized by students and the performance of some traditional arts famous by the Governorate. The new unit of kidney medicine in Ibri Referral Hospital, which was recently inaugurated, is considered as one of the major health achievements in the Governorate of Dhahra. The unit is facilitated with latest medical equipment in order to provide excellent services for patients. The unit included 17 beds, isolation rooms, and other rooms for training on self-dialysis, in addition to other supported departments. Still to come in our news bulletin. Jewellery which belonged to France's Queen Marie Antoinette has gone on display in Geneva ahead of its planned auction. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. United Nations Yemen envoy Martin Griffiths is aiming to convene the country's warring parties for peace talks by the end of the year, a UN spokesman said yesterday, after last week saying he would try to bring them together by the end of the month. The United States and Britain last week stepped up calls for an end to the nearly 4-year war that has driven impoverished Yemen to the verge of famine. Griffiths, who is due to brief the Security Council on November 16th, is trying to salvage peace talks that collapsed in September. He said in a statement last week that he hoped to bring the parties to the negotiating table within a month. However, UN spokesman Farhan Haq said yesterday the goal was for political consultations before the end of the year. Yemeni rebels battle today to slow an advance by pro-government forces deeper into Hodeidah, seeking to recapture the city's lifeline port, launching fierce barrages of mortar fire and aiming to cut off supply routes, military sources said. Military sources said government forces and their coalition allies were edging towards the city's vital port, through which nearly 80% of Yemen's commercial imports and practically all UN-supervised humanitarian aid passes. Syrian government forces killed 22 rebels overnight near Idlib province in the deadliest such attack in an area where a recent truce is to be enforced. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said fighting erupted when government troops seized a position in a rural area in the north of neighboring Hama province that had been held by Jaish al-Izza group. Idlib and some surrounding areas are the last major rebel bastion in Syria, where the Russian-backed government has in recent months retaken much of the territory it had lost since the civil war erupted in 2011. It had threatened an assault on rebel territory home to around 3 million people, but a deal for a demilitarized buffer zone around it was reached in September between Moscow and rebel backer Ankara. Libya should start the process to hold an election in spring 2019 only after national conference to discuss its ongoing conflict, the UN Libya envoy said yesterday. Western powers and the United Nations had originally hoped to hold presidential and parliamentary elections on December the 10th. Instead, the United Nations wants to focus on a national conference to give Libyans a forum to discuss their future and bridge divisions between armed groups, tribes, towns and regions, UN Libya Special Envoy Ghassan Salami told the UN Security Council. The national conference is to be held in the first weeks of 2019. The subsequent electoral process should commence in the spring of 2019, Salami said. Moscow will summon the Austrian ambassador today after Vienna said it suspected a retired colonel in the Austrian army of spying for Russia for several decades, a foreign ministry official told AFP. The Austrian ambassador will be called today to the Russian foreign ministry, the official said.
Подозрение в причастности кого-то к каким-то процессам, которые рассматриваются.
Held in private collections for more than 200 years, jewelry that once belonged to France's Queen Marie Antoinette has gone on display in Geneva ahead of its planned auction on November 14th, where the jewels could fetch $4.5 million, Sotheby's said on Wednesday. Described by British auction house Sotheby's as one of the most important royal jewelry collections ever to come to auction, the pieces are part of an exhibition entitled Royal Jewels from the Bourbon-Parma family that also includes other items from the storied dynasty's rich history. The French Queen's jewels include a 49-carat natural pearl and diamond pendant, as well as necklaces, brooches and earrings valued in total at between $1.5 and $3 million. The collection, which belongs to the Bourbon-Parma family, also includes a monogram ring with woven strands of Marie Antoinette's hair enclosed. And now it's time for the general weather forecast around the Sultanates. Clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates, with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the coasts of the Arabian Sea. Winds will be southeasterly to south light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Message of Islam exhibition in the Czech Prague showcases the Sultanate's experience in spreading peace values among nations and respect of cultural diversity. The future of energy and its efficiency are discussed in a dialogue session about the best use of sustainable energy in the Sultanate. And Yemeni forces continue its advance in Hodeidah, and UN discusses holding peace talks between Yemeni parties before the year end. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.